Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. This weekend update. I'm not sure where this is going to end up going. I'm going to cover both of these little projects, but it's probably going to be a Volkswagen video. But we'll start with the Cub here. I got my little motor. It's a Motenergy, Motenergy. And this is the 1-inch shaft version. This gizmo right here was off of the DR mower brush hog that I converted to mount on the front of my my other Cub, the 4-wheel drive one. But I saved that clutch. That was like a dead man clutch. So whenever you're using the thing, you'd pull in the lever, and that would engage this clutch. And then if you happen to fall down or whatever, the lever would come undone, and then the tractor would go into neutral. So that's kind of what that is. So aspirationally, this is gonna have a pulley going around, or a belt going around there, down to that pulley over there, and that pulley over there, and then there'll be a toothed belt, kind of like a cam belt. It'll go from there up to my hydraulic pump, be roughly there somewhere. And then what'll happen is operation, if I want to use the deck, then I will start this motor up, get it up to speed, full power, and then engage this clutch just with a linear actuator or a servo or something. And then the drive will go down to the mower deck, and I can cut the grass. Unfortunately, unless I figure out something else, that the pump is just always going to run. The hydraulic pump will always run whenever this motor is running. The hydraulic pump, of course, is for the hydraulic, or the front end loader that will be on this. And I've also got a hydraulic cylinder that's used to move up and down the the deck. And then also that arm right there is what moves that. And there's another little hole there that goes all the way in the back, and it goes to, Cub Cadet calls it a 3-point, but it's a Brindley hitch. It's just you can put a plow on there, or there's a whole bunch of accessories you can put on those things. But I'd like to have one of those as well. Okay, that is the Cub update. And as for the Volkswagen update, I didn't do a whole heck of a lot on it. Well, I kind of did. I went ahead and cut out all this foam for the front battery box and tried to put some batteries in here, and it's too tight. So I'm going to have to trim down some of this foam. I'm going to have to probably take 1/8 of an inch off of all of them, and that's what I'm going to have to do for that. And then down here, this has always been an annoyance for me. Right up there, this front motor mount used to have like I don't know if it was a 1/16 or closer to 1/8 of an inch gap under it. So I went ahead and supported the front of the motor, got it so that bolt was really loose, so that nothing was under tension. Ground out those little tack welds that I had in there, lifted it up however far that was, and went ahead and welded it in. So that's a lot higher. So that's going to make completing this weld much easier, because this is 1/8 inch and this is either 1/8 inch or 3/16, but that's going to make this weld a whole lot easier. And then I'll have like a little gusset that goes here as well. Tomorrow I'd like to get back here and do the gussets for this part. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plate this in, just get a piece of 1/8 inch, and then just plate this in, and then run a gusset from the top to the bottom, or even 3/16. I've got some of that now, and plate that in, and then run a gusset from roughly here somewhere up to there, and then that'll control any side loads on this. So that's pretty cool. One thing that kind of sucks, does it suck? I don't know if it sucks, but I'm going to be using what's called a dilithium battery management system for these batteries. There's a few competing battery management systems out there. Orion is one of them, and that's the kind that I used on the Jeep. And it's very cumbersome to program. There's just a ton of options for it, and it's just there's just a lot to it. And I never really did like how it reports. But this dilithium BMS comes from a company called Thunderstruck EV. Super nice people over there. Keenan helped me out on some emails, and Brian works over there, and he helped me out on the phone just to make sure I'm picking up the right parts. So I ordered that dilithium battery. But the thing is, those modules, they come in 24 cell modules. So for every 24 cells, you'll have a module. And this front battery box is going to have 76. Now 74 times 3, sorry, 24 times 3 is 72. So if I have 3 modules in here, that means it can control 72 of these. So that means I've got 4 cells over there that these 3 modules can't deal with. Now the modules that go in the back, there'll be 2 back there to deal with the remaining 36 cells. And so 2 at 24, that's 48, and then the third, so 2 at 24, that's 48 cells that could be monitored, but I'm only going to need to monitor 36 with it, so some of those will be just sort of tied together. However, these 4 up here, I'm going to have to run those back there, so that means instead of 36, that's going to control 40. However, Thunderstruck says that the wires going from here all the way back there will have too much voltage drop, and the satellite, they call it a satellite balancer, will have a difficult time with it because so much distance is between the cells. So I don't know. One fix for that is to remove the 4 cells from here, alter the box, or just put in a spacer, mount those cells in the back somewhere, maybe attached to the battery box that's already there or elsewhere. That's one option. Another option is just to not use these 4 cells at all, and my overall voltage, instead of being, let's say, 400, would be 388, because I'd be losing about 12 volts, and my capacity would go down, a kilowatt hour or 2. I don't know. So I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try it with those 4 going underneath, and if it gives problems, if I get error codes or whatever, and it just can't balance them, then I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But for the so that's what I'm gonna do. So I got that on order, and I also got I gotta find it. What did I do with it? Hold on. I also got this little piece of bling in the mail the other day. These are Porsche 911 CVs, brand new ones. Got 2 of them, and some grease to put those together. These little caps right here, they go on top of that, and then the little boots, they go on top of those caps, and then all of that stuff connects to these little beauties right here. These are from Dutchman Axles. I sent them these guys right here. I sent them these, and they they copied the splines for the Mini Cooper outers and the Porsche 911 inners. They copied the splines and the length and made one incredibly beautiful, heat-treated and shiny drive shaft. Now, I won't know, as pretty as they are, I won't know if they actually fit. They should fit, because that's how long the ones that were in it were, until I get all this back in there. But before I do that, I want to put a coat of paint on this. I'm not going to paint the shock mounts because I'm not exactly sure where they're going to go. I need to let the shocks down as far as they'll go, let the springs down as far as they'll go, and see if those hit. Hit right there. See if they hit. I got that little cutout to try and give them some room, but I think they still might hit. And if they do still hit, I will either get shorter shocks, or I will somehow alter these so that this is actually lower. That way the longer shock will bottom out at a place where this doesn't. Anyway, that'll make more sense later, and I'll get into it. But I'll just tape this off so I don't paint this. And as for where my parking brake hooks up, I'll probably just go ahead and weld that, because I've got it. That right there, that little button right there is for this parking brake assembly. I'll go ahead and weld that, because not only is it easy enough to unweld if that's really wrong, but it should work fine. And yeah, that'll be that. So I need to do that. Once I get that repainted, I painted my springs. I need to paint these, need to clean them up and paint them. And I need to paint the shackles over there. I need to clean them up, paint them too. Get all that stuff painted, and then throw this thing back up underneath there and see if the drive shafts work. Whew! Maybe I can get all that done this weekend. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see you later. Alright guys, so the title of the video was clickbait. Trying to get my numbers up, you know. Mama needs a new pair of shoes. The axle shafts actually are really, really very close. Yeah, so all I did just to see how close they were before I had the 911 CV on there, I just kind of brought this up. I'll go on this side because you can see it. I brought the end of the axle up to right there, and then check that on both sides, and then just compare the distances. And I think this side, the driver's side, is maybe like, I don't even know if it's 1/8 of an inch more. It's hardly noticeable, so I'm pretty dang happy about that. And that, of course, means that I can go ahead and weld in my, well, weld these in for solid like. And then I've got these little doohickeys up here. This is just sort of pressed in there, but I'm gonna weld those in there. I got one on this side too. And then I'm just gonna take a piece of just a gusset from here to there. Now, if I had a plasma table, I'd do a gusset with like some swoopy little design and some, you know, holes in there for lightness, but I don't, so I'm not. Yeah, here's the other one. So it'll just kind of go right there. Anyway, so that's the plan with that. And yeah, so, and my biggest concern, of course, has been with the axles at full droop on the shock, will the drive shaft clear this right here? And the answer is no, it will not. So I've got this side jacked up. I had this in its holes, and then I had this in its holes, and it was this tube was too low, so I had to take it out of the holes and jack it up a little bit. Now what I should have done was measured how much I jacked it up, you know, but like you can kind of tell it's really not very far. Now this is on kind of an arc, so it's not exactly just straight over, you know. It's not like I only came up a ½ inch or something. I probably did only come up a ½ inch. So I need to address that. And I can either address that by lowering this enough so that the shock bolts into it, and that'll be the end of that. I could bring this down a ½ inch. I mean, really, I could just no, I couldn't. I need to bring this down some. That's one solution. Another solution might be to try and find different shocks. I'd like to look into air shocks. So what I might do is I might go on Amazon's and find the air shocks that all the Volkswagen pickup truck guys use, and see what their extended length is, and if it is, you know, agreeable to my situation, then I'll probably just go ahead and get them. And that way I won't have to worry about not having enough spring pressure, and end up riding on my bump stops all the time. So I don't want to do that. But as you can see, at that position, I've got a good, you know, 4 or 5 inches of travel, and that's pretty great. And this CV has represents the lowest, and this CV can actually come back a little bit. It can come back a little bit, meaning that there's some travel in there, and there's probably 2 inches of travel inside this CV. And well, I can't really push this up all the way until it hits the stops without putting a whole bunch of weight in the back, which is, I suppose, what I'll need to do. But I can't imagine that this arc is going to push that in 2 inches. I just can't imagine that's going to happen. But I need to try it for sure. And that would suck a whole bunch if that's not good, if that won't work. But as it is, it looks like it's going to work just fine. So that's pretty sweet. And it turns too, so there you go. pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and cut these mounts off. Probably put a, I don't know, a 1/2-inch spacer under there or something, and see where that gets me. Probably do something like that. But yeah, so that's the plan. And of course, that means that I got to end up taking all this stuff down. As you can see, I got it all painted, and it looks really wonderful. I knew I was going to have to take this down anyway, because I need to get the motor out and paint all underneath there, do all that stuff. And I want to have the motor out when I weld that anyway, just so I don't get little hot BBs all over it. Okay, we'll see in a bit. I got these suspension mounts chopped off, and sort of the shock in there holding it. I've got that top really, really tight, so this is roughly where it needs to be, in and out and back and forth. And what it turns out is, if I were to just drop these mounts straight down, I need about a 3/4 inch spacer, and that would pretty much get me there if I drop it straight down. Alternatively, or I can drop it down 1/2 inch and then just bring the shock back a little bit, like a very little bit. Or I could just bring the shock way back and not have a spacer at all, but then I think I run into a problem where my axle might hit when it goes all the way up to the bump stop. So I don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit on the 1/2 inch block and bring it back a little bit. That's kind of what I got going on over here. Just a 1/2 inch block. But I wanted to do this just to kind of compare both sides. If now this shock is kind of in the middle of the axle tube, sort of, and it's in the middle on both sides. So I kind of like that better. I don't know why. Just I just do. Okay. And then the other thing, yeah. So then what I can do is I can get some 1/2 inch by 2 inches wide, about 3 inches long, and I'll weld that spacer to this part, and then I'll put all this up here again and weld this all to the axle tube. Then I'll take the support off of the axle tube, and it will drop down a little bit because there's some play in these bushings. And then once I've done that, then I can see if you know, these, if I don't know if I can show you that. See how much space there is between the top of the axle. Yeah, you can not see that at all. But yeah, at the moment there's about 1/8 of an inch right now, maybe a little bit more. And this whole thing may actually drop further than that. And if that's the case, then I may have to go with the 3/4 inch spacer or put an 1/8 inch spacer between. Anyway, I'll figure it out. But that's the plan for that. But I think I'm kind of done with this for the night. Let's finish out this video with the Cub Cadet, because that's sort of what we started with. I didn't do a whole lot on it either, other than went to McMaster Car and ordered some timing belt pulleys. This is the timing belt pulley belt off of the 4x4 Cub Cadet. This belt, this size of belt, can definitely withstand 30 horsepower, because that's what the Cub Cadet has. This motor cannot put that much power out, and if you know, at worst, it's going to put out about 5 horsepower. So I've gone ahead and ordered a belt that's, I think, 3/4 wide, might be half. But the pulleys are also narrower, so that means I should be able to get one in there. I got a pulley with a 1-inch bore and a pulley with a 5/8 bore, and I should get those Tuesday. And once I have those, I can kind of mock that up and see the rough position of where this needs to go. I fear that the Cub Cadets, I don't actually know, but I think the Cub Cadets had a bigger pulley on the front, because at the moment that's a straight drop down to that pulley, but you can definitely tell that this one is not a straight drop. But if it, I don't really know how they did that. I may have to phone some friends and find out, or I may have to have a, I may have to have like a little idler pulley in there just to hold it in line. This is never going to stay again. Hold it in line. Anyway, far down the road. And yeah, so that's I think that's where we're at. We're going to call it a wrap for this weekend. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.